Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to the iConis podcast. And we're going to ask the question, can wrestling make you cry? Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to the iConis podcast. I'm your host, Barry3D. You can also find me at barry3d.com. And of course, you can look for Rod when he's on here at Twitch TV. And you can also check out our boy Larry at his Facebook page, Larry Reckless Auto, and he's doing a lot of shorts for us. And at the opening, I said, can wrestling make you cry? Are you a wrestling fan? Are you a comic book fan? Do you watch these products? And do they make you cry? They can make you angry, can make you upset, but can they really make you shed a genuine tear? And my question is absolutely yes. If you look at this comic book called Do a Powerbomb, right? And Do a Powerbomb is by Daniel Warren Johnson and by Mike Spicer. So these two are dynamic. If you've turned around and you read the latest Transformers run that's happening right now, and if you've seen Optimus Prime do a clothesline, then you have met the dynamic duo who are behind this fabulous book here. And this is on the What We Read saga over here. So this is a trade paperback, but it ran for 7 issues, and it's telling the story of Lona Steelrose, and she is a daughter. And what happens in the opening sequence is she turns around, she's at a wrestling match, she knows her mom's a wrestler, she's got to fight the villain, Cobra-san, and they get into a match. During the match, her mother passes away fully. Like a move goes wrong. And we've seen this happen in wrestling, and that's not what makes you cry. I mean, it does get you on that emotional roller coaster, but it's not what turns around and starts the tears. That's the more shock value. And then Lana turns around and she wants to become a wrestler as she's gotten older, and she's trying to make it on the indie circuit, and she's good, but her dad says, no, stay away from the wrestling. I've lost your mom to wrestling. I'm not going to lose you to wrestling. And he works as a mechanic, and he's really trying to stop her. And then she kind of gets brought into it by her uncle. Now, in this storyline, it turns around and it gets really over the top, but it happens in such gradual stages that by the time you realize you're at a certain level and going, what? You're already sunken in for the ride. So this is a beautiful book. The art style is dynamic. It's like Dragon Ball Z meeting wrestling. And if you look at, for example, Daniel, and you see him in interviews, he's usually got like an AEW hat. So he's a fan of AEW. He's a fan of WWE. He's gone to the events. He is a wrestling fan. If you are a wrestling fan, you will recognize the moves that the wrestlers do in here. I mean, literally, it's called Do a Powerbomb, but you'll understand and recognize the moves. You'll understand the psychology that's behind that when it comes to wrestling and everything within that genre. And then as a comic book fan, you realize what's driving it. Lona gets the chance to compete in a tournament that at the end might bring redemption for herself, get revenge maybe on the person that took away her mom's life, and maybe a possibility of bringing her mom back. I'm not going to give away any of the ending, because if I say one part on this, it's going to take away certain aspects of the story, and I don't want to do that for you. So I'm really just going to tell you, Lona, she's a determined young woman living in the shadows of the tragedy of her mom, right? Her drive is to get connected to professional wrestling. She already had it. She wants to do it and get certain people back. She wants to deal with Cobra's son. So there we go. That's the person that was behind the ending of her mom. And it's not so much a revenge thing, but she's angry. And at one point, she has to team up with him. So there's a lot of conflict in there. There's growth in there. There's it's such great story writing. So you definitely need to check out this book. And as it says, it's like Dragon Ball Z meets The Wrestler. If you watch the movie The Wrestler, once again, that was very emotional. And it had a lot of things that if you were a fan getting into wrestling for the first time and want to understand the psychology behind it, it's a kind of a good movie to jump on. I mean, of course, take some liberties with it, but you see what it's like to be a wrestler on the road. And the whole thing is to get to the big show. I don't mean Paul Wright, the big show. No, I'm talking like one of the main televised wrestling promotions, right? Be it if it's WWE, AEW, New Japan, so forth and so forth. This is the goal. You always want to be on the big stage, but a lot of them have to do sacrifices along the way. There's the indie circuit. You have to work your way up. You got to do a lot of grinding to get there, to hone your craft. That's it. There's a ton of videos on there from all different wrestlers themselves to wrestling fan channels. We've covered wrestling on here before. So the artwork is very kinetic and brutal, and it has that dynamic. It's always heavy action oriented. So it's really, and it's easy to follow, very easy to follow with the eye. I can't say enough about that. And it's also got, I forgot, Lucha Libre. There we go. So, you know, the New Japan influence, the Lucha Libre influence with the costumes, the mask, and the risk that these wrestlers take, these performers take in the ring, and then how that wears on them physically and emotionally outside of the ring. So I would say this book came out in 2023. You can go to your local comic book store, you can pick it up as individual issues, or you can get the trade for it. And once again, if you are a wrestling fan, a Dragon Ball fan, you like these kind of things, then, you know, you definitely got to check out the artwork. You got to check the storyline. I don't want to give anything away. And you start rooting, you know, for the characters as they go. That's all we have to say. I know I could say a lot more about this book, but I don't want to give away anything, because if you say one part, it gives away the other way. Now, I think there's a motion comic book also on YouTube that kind of gives you a teaser on how that could be, but I can't stress enough to turn around and go and get the book, do a power bomb. It's a lot easier to read it than to go and do one in your backyard with your little brother, because then your parents are going to turn around and scold you, and then you get grounded for a month, and it's pretty much you're on KP duty. You'd rather be going and join the army than turn around and having to, you know, do all the chores because your West Indian mom is yelling at you and the neighbors are hearing it and think that your name is not Barry, but it's Bang Out, because that's what your parents keep saying they want to do to you. Anyways, that's a different story. I'm not going to go down that path, right? Not to say I'm reliving any trauma, but there you go. So check it out. Do it, Powerbomb. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you have a book that's very similar that you're passionate about. But highly recommend Do a Powerbomb by Daniel Warren Johnson and Michael Spicer. And enjoy. Till then, remember, this whole world was started by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming.